In the early 70s, a group of students at C.W. Baker High School in Baldwinsville, New York, set out to build a radio station that would create a unique broadcasting experience, not only for them, but for a multitude of generations to come. Nearly a half-century later, it's time to hear firsthand from those who went behind the mic, telling the stories of how this station changed their lives, both in the studio and beyond, as we celebrate 50 years of broadcasting excellence on WBXL 90.5 FM. This is The Buzz Goes Gold.
Hello, welcome to another episode of The Buzz Goes Gold. I'm in New York City right now. We had a fun time going to Yankee Stadium to see the Yankees. But this is enough about me. I'm here with another 04 graduate from the class of 2004. Please introduce, warm welcome for Katrina Bush-Williams. Hi, welcome to the podcast, and it's been a pleasure to have you on.
Well, thank you, Jordan. Thank you. It's been a lovely day today at New York City, so I'm glad I got to spend the day with you today.
Likewise, I'm here with my friend Matt.
Hello.
Hi. Anyway, so I asked these questions to everybody, but what made you interested in broadcasting? How did you find out about the radio station in the first place?
Actually, I just needed an elective, and I was always interested in music and playing music, so I said, why not give it a try and find out what it's all about.
So you took the class first, obviously.
Yes.
And we have two interesting things, or one interesting thing in common. We both had the same teacher, different years, obviously. What were your impressions of him, and how did you think he did the? What were your impressions with him, and how do you think he taught the class? How do you think he taught the classes?
I really enjoyed Mr. Hunn. He definitely had a voice for radio, and he definitely knew he was knowledgeable on radio and what he was talking about, and he gave some good tips. Sometimes the class got a little boring, but
yes.
it was definitely fun, and I'm definitely glad that I went through with WBXL.
Yeah, so when was your first shift? I'm curious.
It was in the evening about, I want to say it was a Wednesday or Thursday, if I can recall.
Okay. I did Fridays at 3 to 4 p.m. So, you mentioned about the music. Obviously, the way that we played music was different, but what were your favorite songs or artists that you can remember?
What I really played was like 2000 kind of like, I would say rock and roll. I played a lot of old school rock and roll as well. Definitely old school, new school rock and roll. Sometimes I played some kind of, R&B. Took some requests when they were made, especially Undercover Angel. Jan always requested Undercover Angel. So, and whatever usually was on the instant replay, what I can come up with.
Okay, and back then, I remember the instant replay machines. For those who don't know, they're essentially a glorified iPod. I guess you could say, wouldn't you agree? They're a glorified iPod, if you would.
Box.
You would put in a number, and then it would play. So Jan, I know Jan very well. She was the janitor at our school, but also the station's number one listener. What were your impressions? What was your relationship with her like?
Jan, she always called in. I didn't have a really close relationship with her, but I always had, she always called in and always requested music and was always listening.
It's very great to have somebody like that. Now, what I did was very interesting. I don't know if you knew this, but I actually brought in members of the community from outside, like the village of Baldwinsville, the mayor, and then a few non-for-profit organizations among students, but I did that to keep the community service broadcasting alive. I mean, this was a public service. No other students were doing this, and I actually got 2 awards for doing this.
Oh, that was your little shtick.
Yes, actually, and I had fun doing it. But what lessons do you think what lessons in life? Apply this to anything. Just the lessons that you've learned from your experience at the station, and how you consider applying them to what you're doing today.
Well, I think a lot of the lessons I learned was just be yourself. And honestly, I've made some really good friends from WBXL, and I was actually going to go into broadcasting when I went to college, but decided that wasn't really my thing. But I really made some good friends because I was myself. I was able to be myself and able to be, kind of goofy, and that's what got people listening.
Okay, so you mentioned some of the friends. Who from your time do you still keep in touch with today?
Well, I keep in touch with Erin Scalish on and off. I haven't really talked to her much, but I was at her wedding, and Sydney Asfan, I haven't seen her in years, but we all went to her college together.
But what about Tom? I remember
Tom from England.
Yes,
Tom from England was in it. And actually, rest in peace, Jamie Leahy. He was going to be the program manager in the senior year, but he passed away at the beginning of our senior year. So
I also heard that you were in a relationship with future GM Jonathan Head.
Oh gosh! Well, I guess if that's what you call that.
I don't know. My friend actually told me.
It would be interesting being Katrina Bush-Head.
Oh yes. So we could edit that. So what are you doing? Tell the listeners what you've been up to since Baker, and what are you doing now?
Well, the field I'm in is in human services. I've been working in human services since 2008. And now I'm a program manager of a residential home in Millis, New York, through Access CNY.
And what made you? So you said you were thinking of doing broadcasting, but then you ended up going into this field. What was the transition like? What went through your mind that you said you wanted to do broadcasting, but now you wanted to take a different path?
Well, I think more broadcasting in college was because I wasn't really into it. It was more of a jazz radio station.
Yes.
And, I wasn't really into it, so I kind of slacked off too, and, just trying to find my way. And then I went into general studies, and then one day, actually at my former church, somebody asked me if I could help them out with one of their children, and I was doing one-on-one for a while, and then all of a sudden it just became a career. And I worked for the Ark of Onondaga, and then I decided I needed to grow and expand, and I went to Access CNY.
Well, that's noble of you. And so how would you connect your current field to where are some of the parallels that you see from broadcasting that you use in your in your career of caring for other individuals, as a job, as a profession?
Well, first of all, I really feel like music is really therapeutic. It definitely helps anybody in any situation, no matter what kind of music it is. It's really good therapy for a lot of people, including myself. And I can be myself and
of course,
not get judged, and just go day to day with being my bubbly self, and people either like it or don't, but most people like it. So
it built your self-confidence, I would say, being on the radio station.
Yes.
So I have two more questions for you, and then we will hang up, or we will end. So if it were not for the radio, did you know that Baldwinsville is the only district within the central New York, Syracuse area to have its radio station?
Yes, I did.
What are your thoughts that Baldwinsville was one of the unique, that unique aspect of it?
I think it's really unique. I think that is one of those things where everybody should try out, and it's definitely something that not everybody can say that they have and tried. It's a once in a lifetime experience.
It's exactly. Have you listened to it? Are you still listening to it now? What's your opinion?
The times that I've actually listened to it, it's been music that I don't generally listen to, but I have actually played it, and I've actually heard it being played on the weekends, which back in my day, it usually got shut off on a Friday night.
Yes,
so.
I know. One funny story or memory that you have from your time at the station that you would like to share with us, please.
Well, it was my first night on, so I was kind of jittery, nervous, not knowing what to do, and I was actually paired up with a buddy of mine. His name is Marco, and we were playing Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt, which would be 9 Inch Nails, and they say the F word in the song. And as soon as they said the F word, I switched the wrong switch to censor it, and it went on air. So I got in trouble for it, but I was still able to go on. But I had to make a playlist and give it to the manager before I went back on air.
Okay, at least you learned something from that.
Yes.
So here's what I like to do with my guests. I have them go back to the studio and have them imagine that they're signing off the air for the night or for the shift. So why don't you go ahead, pretend you're back in the studio, and give your sign off phrase or whatever.
Thank you for listening to WBXL. This is Katrina B signing off, and thank you for listening.
Thanks again for listening to Buzz Goes Gold, a podcast celebrating 50 years of broadcasting excellence on WBXL 90.5 FM. This podcast is produced exclusively by the alumni of WBXL, with hosting duties by yours truly, Jordan Hayes, class of 07, and the intro voiced by Rick DiUlio. Many special thanks go out to WJPZ alumnus John Jag Gay, class of 2002, for the inspiration behind this podcast and his helpful tips and advice for making it go.